Digital has actually overtaken offline or traditional media.
India's ad industry is more than a 1 lakh crore. It is more on offline or it is more on online.
Digital would be in the range of around 48 to 50% today of all advertising money spent in this country. Post-COVID era, there's been a significant shift of consumers consuming digital. Television is still very, very important. There's no question about it. It still accounts for around 35-36% of all advertising money spent.
When a brand comes to you and say like I have to spend 100 crore rupees, how do you decide like where it should go?
The starting point is what is the client trying to achieve. The next stage is to identify how do I spend that money. There are two parts to it. When you want to advertise, you need to know who are you talking to and where are they. You cannot catch a consumer's attention by just advertising on one video.
Andy, let's say you are a 25-year-old and you want to build a media agency without any connection, without anything. How would you do that?
Launching something which is like exactly what 10 other people are doing, it's not that you won't get business. But if your ambition is to scale the business, then you have to have a proposition that is distinctive. Otherwise, you will never be successful.
Now, this is one of the favorite questions that I ask to guests. If you have to make $1 million into the next 6 months,
Just call me Andy. Everybody calls me Andy.
Okay, glad to have you, Andy. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, glad to be here. Nice to see your setup. Nice to see the kind of work you're doing.
Thank
you.
you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. How are you feeling in Delhi, coming from Mumbai and getting into this pollution space?
Man, Delhi is a... Well, Delhi's got its... I lived in Delhi for 2 years. You know, between 18 and 2018 to 19, I actually lived for 2 years in Gurgaon. Obviously, look, every city has its pluses and minuses. I've lived in Bombay for 26 years, so yes, I prefer Bombay, but the food in Delhi, nobody can beat for sure. Pollution is, yes, it's a tough thing. I think it's becoming worse. I feel really bad for my friends and colleagues who live here. But, you know, kya kare? Such is life.
I have a little different opinion. I love Mumbai food more.
Really?
Yeah, I love the bada pav and all.
You're in a minority, my friend. Everybody who lives in Mumbai will swear by the fact that Delhi has better food.
I think Delhi food is way overrated.
Really?
But yeah, Mumbai, I loved it. So, yeah, I mean, let's start with numbers. India's ad industry is more than a 1 lakh crore. Okay.
Sure.
I just want to know from you where the split is. Like, it is more on offline or it is more on online, and where it does go.
Yeah, so I think, look, various reports will tell you different numbers, but broadly what's happened over the last 5 years, especially in a post-COVID era, and of course, you know, when once data had become so cheap in this country and handsets have became much more cheaper than what they were, there's been a significant shift of consumers from not generally consuming traditional media, but consuming digital, right? And as consumers moved their not only preference, but time spent on digital, obviously advertisers will follow where consumers go, right? Because your objective is to target consumers. So you'll go to places where they spend more time, they're more engaged, etc. So what's happened, I think, in the last 3 years, for the first time, digital has actually overtaken offline or traditional media. Right? So digital would be in the range of around 48 to 50% today of all advertising money spent in this country. But it's not that television is dead. You know, I think people love to say that television ka time ho gaya. Every year somebody will say it, but television is still very, very important. There's no question about it. It still accounts for around 35-36% of all advertising money spent, and much more. So remember, it's not that the amount of money spent on television has been going up, because the total amount of money being spent on advertising has been going up.
Right.
Share certainly has shifted to digital, but TV remains very important. Yes, there are platforms, or let's say channels like print, which have declined over the years. And not that because news is irrelevant, but because news is now being consumed a lot more on digital platforms, right? So all the leading newspapers in this country have a digital app or a digital e-site where you can go and read the newspaper. And obviously you have other forms like In Shorts, Daily Hunt, etc., where you can get bite-sized news. And that's where people are moving their preference to. So that's really the broad landscape. Out-of-home cinema continue to remain in the 3 to 2%. Radio is also about 3%. So the bulk is really coming from digital, TV, followed by print, and then all the other channels.
Got it. I mean, I think the behavioral change of consuming the platform has changed. Like, for example, the way I used to watch TV earlier is now changed. Earlier we had a dish and all. Right now we have maybe like Fire Stick or maybe the Apple TV and everything we have.
Yeah.
So we use through that. So I think that's also a very big factor that is also coming out. My next question is, let's say when a brand comes to you and say like I have to spend hundreds crore rupees, how do you decide like where it should go? It should go on TV, it should go on Google, it should go on like Instagram ads, or where it is? Like how do you decide it? And I mean, what do you think like where the most of the money get wasted? Like the brand doesn't get ROI.
Sure. So look, all of these decisions today are taken on the back of tools, technology, and data. Right? None of these, no media plan is ever built on the back of मुझे लगता है कि TV पे जाना चाहिए. You can't. When you are investing your client's money, every decision has to be taken to ensure that every piece of investment you make on a channel eventually delivers to the client's objective. Right? So the starting point is what is the client trying to achieve? Now, obviously, 9 out of 10 times the client is focused on sales. I want to increase sales, increase market share, recruit new customers. I'm expanding into a new market. I want to build my brand there and start getting new customers, etc. So over a period of the last, decade and 2 decades, a lot of analytics work has happened where using more sophisticated statistical models, you've now been able to arrive at what is the right mix of channels you need to arrive at a certain sales objective. Right? And that's very broad. What I'm telling you is very, very broad. And every agency has their own set of tools and tech to enable this. Right? So right from, for example, the starting point is, like you said, a client comes to me and says, I want to increase my market share by 5% in the next 12 months. What should I do? So the first thing is to tell the client how much money they spend. So we have tools that help you decide how much of investment is required for you to hit that 5% growth. The next stage is to identify how do I spend that money, right? And there are 2 parts to it. When you want to advertise, you need to know who are you talking to and where are they. Because India is not a small country. India is a massive country, right? We are like Europe, literally the size of Europe. So the next thing is to identify who's your target audience, where is that target audience, what is the size of that target audience, what you call as TAM, what is your total addressable market.
Right.
And that's an important task because often getting that wrong can make a big difference to your entire strategy going right or wrong. And then of course you have to look at that TAM at a granular level by markets, right? And markets could be in terms of across the top 20 cities in India, it could be across multiple states. If you're a mass brand like a soap or a shampoo, it could be across urban and rural India. So depending upon the brand, the category, where the brand is available, right? I think basis that you then again use tools to identify what are the right channels. And lastly is deciding, now that you have budget, you have channels, how much money do you spend on each channel? Again, you have tools that help you do that and tell you how much money should you spend across these 7 channels you've identified in order to be able to achieve the media metric that you need to achieve so that the client, it delivers to the client's business objective, right?
Got it.
So it's never a decision based on media. It always starts with what's the business objective of the client, who's their target audience, where is their target audience, and after that is when we use tools, tech, and analytics to end up arrive at a lot of these decisions.
So it's mostly depend on the brand side. Like what is their requirement? Like what's their target? And
always
yeah.
very simple. I mean, there's a fantastic book by a gentleman called Byron Sharp. It's called How Brands Grow. If you're interested in the science behind building brands, then it's a fantastic book to read. And I mean, he talks about fundamentally 2 key metrics that you have to consider. One is called mental availability. The other is called physical availability. In today's day and age, digital availability also. Mental availability is very simple. Are you a brand that consumers will think of when they are thinking of the category?
right.
ठीक है, तो मैं दिल्ली में हूँ, it's cold, I'm thinking I need to buy an inner. What is the brand that comes to mind? Do I think Uniqlo? Do I think Lux? Do I think Monte Carlo? Right? So that's the first thing is, are you in the consumer's mind when the consumer thinks of the category? Second is, chalo, I say I'm going to buy Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a shop that has Monte Carlo and I'm not able to find that shop. Or I go to Blinkit and say, do they have Monte Carlo inners? It's not available there. But I find that maybe Lux has inners. I've come to Delhi for 2 days. Anyway, I'll never wear an inner in Bombay. So chalo yaar, Lux, I know the brand, theek hai, it's okay, but I will buy it because it's available. So availability, both in the mind and in the shopping ecosystem, becomes really, really important. And these are the two things that any brand needs to have in place in order for them to achieve their business targets, right? You had a follow-up question about where is the money getting wasted,
Yeah.
right? So again, I said, like, look, every channel has a role to play in building mental availability, right? That's the first important thing you have to recognize, that today, because consumers are not consuming one single medium, you cannot catch a consumer's attention by just advertising on one medium. Technically, let's look at Google, right? Google has YouTube. YouTube has about 350 daily active users. So technically, why should Google pay advertise on IPL? Well, 350 million people
Already
here,
using it.
right? Already using. So you should have to advertise on your own platform, but they do. Meta advertises on television. So the fact is that because sometimes our own personal behavior, we believe, reflects the behavior of everyone, but that's not true. Even 18 to 24-year-olds in this country still watch TV. You may not, but the fact is that
No,
because
definitely my parents watch.
No, I'm saying 18 to 24-year-olds, people in your age group.
Okay.
Because you and your friends don't watch. So you
Yeah.
think that nobody watches, but that's not
Right.
true. See, remember, when you are a brand talking to India, you're talking to a very, very large population.
Right.
Right? I mean, you're talking to 18 to 24-year-olds in this country will be about 125 million people.
Right.
But they're spread across Delhi, Gurgaon, Guwahati, Gwalior. अलग-अलग शहरों में, and everywhere, life is not necessarily the same कि सब लोग YouTube पे ही है.
Right.
So the fact is that one needs to keep that in mind, that our own, and that's the most important thing for anybody in media, is to not put your own personal beliefs or bias on what a client should do, and that's why it's always led by data to ensure that you know exactly the consumers that you are talking to, what are they consuming. So ROI is not a factor of a specific channel; it's a factor of a category, a brand, the markets it's talking to, and the consumers it's talking to, right? For example, if I'm a very premium, let's say luxury, I won't say luxury brand, let's say I'm a premium brand that offers customized, let's say, calisthenics services.
Right.
Okay? I offer it in the top 6 metros in India. Now, if I use television, will I reach my target audience? Yes. But what will happen is I'll end up reaching a lot of people outside the top 6 metros of India.
Right.
So effectively, a lot of money gets wasted. Why? I shouldn't use television. So in this case, the choices will be obvious. I'll use digital where I can target the 6 metros. I'll use out of home where I can target the 6 metros. I'll use maybe mobile and do geo-targeting. I'll use maybe print, right? But that way I ensure that my media channels are all focused on the markets and the target audience. Spillovers are eliminated. So in this case, the ROI of TV would have been very poor because I would have spent a certain amount of money on TV, but it would have gone to 100 markets where I'm only available in 6. On the other hand, if I'm a mass mobile phone brand and I want to talk to consumers across the top 200 cities in India, if I do digital, I can do digital, but I'll have to do digital targeting each of those 200 cities or broadly at a state level. But when I do television, television gives me mass reach at a much lower CPM. So effectively, between television and digital, television may end up giving me a better ROI than digital. So it really depends on, like I said, what's the brand, the product, who's the target audience, which are the markets. And then your mix would be very different for different brands. It's not that television will always give you high ROI or digital will always give you high ROI. There's never a generic rule.
But brand would have made some mistakes in this thing. I don't want to take the name of a brand, but like it was on a BFSI sector. What they have done, like they have created a video, like it was a TVC that they created, okay, and they also posted out on YouTube. And what they have done, they have boosted on YouTube, okay, and that ad got like 120 million views, okay, and but like it has only 12 likes and 0 comments. Like, what do you think? Like, why it did happen? Or
yeah. So I'll tell you what. Look, I think there are two different kinds of content that happen on YouTube.
yeah,
So one is very creator topic, content-led, and then of course there's brand advertising. Right now, brand advertising. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, "Arey, mujhe ad dekhna. Chalo, aaj baith ke advertising dekhte." Nobody says that. It's very difficult to get consumers' attention and get consumers to actually watch advertising, right? Because advertising is effectively the brand trying to talk to you, and a lot of times you may not be interested in that brand or interested in that category at that point of time. Yet the brand has to talk to you because they know that maybe 2 weeks from now you will be interested in the category. Okay? Delhi is cold now. It'll start getting warmer, right? So a lot of the fashion brands, they have to start talking to you now so that when the new season of clothes comes into shops, you go and buy. Now you may not be interested, right? So I think you have to keep in mind that this BFSI brand, and I'm not going to talk about 120 million, etc., but effectively advertising very rarely gets likes on YouTube. But does that mean that advertising on YouTube doesn't work? Absolutely not. Ads on YouTube work brilliantly. And I'm not talking about my point of view. I'm talking about analytics. I'm talking about a decade of research that shows you that YouTube ads offer ROI in some cases better than television. Okay, so remember, I think because you come from the creator ecosystem, your metric of success is only likes, shares, subscriptions. Because you're a creator. On the brand, on the advertising side, it's very different. Like for example, just like television advertising, when you see an ad on TV, it's not that you sit up and start clapping. Or you say, "Arey yaar, chalo, I have to go and buy that brand now." Right? You've seen it at somewhere in the back of your head. If it's a good ad, it stays in your head. And then when you think about the category mental availability, you think of the brand. That's exactly how YouTube works. It's just a different screen. Right? So, like I said, don't look at the metrics of likes and shares to say that is that the right strategy or not.
You have managed marketing budget of Google for 3 years at Essence. Just tell me, how did you even get that? And other thing is, what Google knows that other marketers doesn't know?
So look, I was very fortunate to work for a company. So in this case, I can't take any credit for it. I ended up being the MD of Essence, and Essence was globally the agency for Google. They started their relationship with Google in London and in the US, and then expanded that relationship across the world. And eventually, Essence was bought over by Group M, where I worked. And I was working in one agency, and then I got the opportunity to lead Essence. So I got the opportunity to work with Google. Phenomenal experience. I think it was fantastic working on that brand because Google had come into India obviously many years ago, but they were scaling up, right? And therefore the opportunity to work on brands like GPay and launch GPay in India, launch versions of Pixel, launch the Google Smart Speakers series, then also work on very, very interesting projects that they were actually experimenting different types of products in India was fantastic, great experience. So I can't take credit for why I think I was very fortunate for that opportunity, and I think those 3 years were wonderful, great experience. I've taken back a lot of learnings and grown as a professional.
Andy, let's say you are a 25-year-old and you want to build a media agency without any connection, without anything. How would you do that?
Wow, I wish I had that answer. I would do it even now. But look, I don't think the ambition should be I want to start a media agency. I think you have to redefine your ambition today because the fact is that it's already got a lot of players very well established and almost at every level, mid-size, mid to small size, etc. So if you want to be successful, you've got to have a proposition that is distinctive in the market. Right? Otherwise, you will never be successful. Launching something which is like exactly what 10 other people are doing, it's not that you won't get business. But if your ambition is to scale the business, then you have to have a proposition that is distinctive. And I think a lot of that comes on the back of the kind of product you have. Now, I think the beauty of what's happening with Gen AI in this country is that suddenly a lot of people have access to the best LLMs available across the world in India. So if you are able to build and it's already being done, a fully agentic solution to design a campaign, set up the campaign, run a campaign and optimize the campaign on digital. And it's doable. It's being done. Then suddenly you have a product that does not require to hire 50, 60 people, but you're able to build an agentic-led solution that may not be for everyone, but let's say for small and medium enterprises who want to use digital, but they don't have the money to set up a marketing team internally, hire an agency. Second is they don't have such high budgets that they can actually afford to hire an agency. But they still need a solution. A product like this will appeal to them. So you found it's very important for any person thinking about setting up a media solution, let's not call it an agency, to be clear about who's the market you're talking to, which are the businesses that are going to be interested in looking for a partner like you. And second is what's the product that you're going to build, given the ability of tech to do so much more today that can cater to their needs at a cost that they can afford to deliver. Right? And I think that's where the solution lies. The solution doesn't lie in thinking I'm going to build another big agency. I think you have to focus on the right audience, like any other product, right? Who's your audience? Who are these businesses that would need your service? And to deliver to those business needs, how can your service be delivered in a way which is at an affordable cost, at the same time it's effective? And I think today AI allows you to build such kind of products.
Now, this is one of the favorite question that I ask to guests. Let's say if you have to make $1 million into the next 6 months.
I'll rob a bank. I don't think, look, I mean, look, I may be old school, but I honestly believe that there's unfortunately no shortcut to earning big money. There is no shortcut. I wish there were. I wish there were. Or maybe I just don't have the intellect to think of saying that, look, I'm going to build the next big product that's going to blow this market out of the ground. Even if you do that, thinking that, you're going to get $1 million in 6 months is not real. I think it's great to have ambitions, and don't get me wrong. Obviously, doing well in life and making money is super critical. Your ambitions should be audacious for you to be even to get to at least one level if you don't have audacious plans. But I think that you have to also be realistic, because I think the one thing I would, and I'm not going to disparage you, but I'll just say the young Gen Zs today, I think the one thing that they're not able to take is failure.
Yeah, I agree.
So don't get into something unless you have a realistic, first you have a realistic goal. Don't set audacious goals just for the sake of sounding cool. Set realistic goals because you're not living in an easy world. In fact, especially the younger generation, you're living in a world which is getting disrupted every day by technology, right? I'm luckily at the end, towards the end of my career, so I don't have to worry about it. I need to worry about it, but not as much. So I would say $1 million in 6 months is a great goal to have, but don't be surprised if 99% of the time you're going to fail. Be ready for that, but you need to be able to either create something which is distinctively disruptive and not just differentiated then. For the market to look at it and say, wow, let's put aside what we've got, that's what we need. And I don't think many brands have done that. We look at brands like Tesla, Apple, etc. They have a series of failures before they build the product that took over the market. Series of failures.